let's actually talk about where are dictionaries used and how they work. So I'm sure all of you must have seen a map, right? Any sort of map, maybe a map of America, a map of Asia, a map of the whole world. However, in every map, you'll always see a legend, right? Now this legend comes in the format of a key and a value. So the way it works is, suppose there's a lot of green on the map. Green means land, right? Maybe there's some blue. Blue means water. Maybe some yellowish red. That means desert. Some white, which means mountains. Stuff like that. So it's color coded. You have a key. It can be any color, any sort of value or object. And each key has a value. So the exact same way a dictionary works. And it's actually pretty cool. So let's think about it like this. Suppose I have a class of 10 students, all right? So we have a class of 10 students. And I have each student's name. So I'm going to create students. And I'm going to set that as each student's name. So I have Eric, and I have his age. He's 14. I have Bob, and his age is maybe 12. I have Tina, and her age might be 26. I mean, it's random values. And let's do one more for now. Let's do Chris. Chris. And his age is 15. So right now, just follow along, okay? Don't type this out with me. I'm just showing you an example of where dictionaries are useful and where arrays are not. So suppose we have these 4 students in our class, Eric, Bob, Tina, and Chris. And we know each of their positions, and that's all great. However, I want to find out what each student's name is. I have a list of students. Eric, Bob, Tina, Chris, Jake, blah, 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 blah. And what I want to do is, for each of these students, I want to know their age. And they're in this array. So the way I would do this is, for each position of the student, let's say I'm talking about Eric, his is the first position, I know his age is the second position, right? If I'm talking about Bob over here, I know Bob is whatever his position plus 1. So 1, 2, 3 plus 1 is 4. 12 is his age is at the 4th position. And that's the way you would do it for these 4 people. You would find out where their name is, and then you'd find out what's the position ahead of it. Suppose you have 100 students though. Let's say 1,000. What do you do then? Do you search for each student and then try to find, hey, what's ahead of it? No, that's not at all how you're supposed to do it. Well, that's where dictionaries come in. So let's go ahead and create a new students variable. And instead of using square brackets, use curly brackets. So dictionaries are actually similar to arrays in the sense of how they're written, but the only difference is a colon. For example, we're writing Eric and 14. So the way we're going to write this is Eric colon 14. All right. So this is the key. This is the value. All right. Let's do 2 more here. Let's say I want to add Bob, and what's his age? 12. So you write the key colon the value, and then we're talking about Tina. So Tina, and it's 26. All right. So this is our student's dictionary, and you know why this is neat? Well, we can now access any of these values by putting in the key. I'm like, all right, so I need to find out what Bob's age is. How do I do that? Well, it's quite simple. You put in students, and then in square brackets, you type in Bob. And as soon as you do that, it returns you 12. So just like a map's legend works, the exact same way a dictionary works. You put in keys, you get the values, okay? So the concept of this is very, very simple, and it's quite useful. Now let's think that Bob left the school, all right? Bob was a very bad child. He never studied, never did his homework, stuff like that, and he just left the school. What happens then? How do we update this dictionary? Well, guys, it's actually quite simple. All we do now is we update the dictionary. Either, in this case, let's say if Bob left the school, we'd have to delete the entry. Otherwise, maybe for a different example, let's say Bob had his birthday yesterday, and he's now turned 13. So how do we update Bob's value? Well, the way we can do that is saying student, and then Bob is now, or actually capital B, is now equal to 13. So we have now updated Bob's value in our dictionary. So going back to the statement and printing it out again, we now have 13. And since we're already on the topic, let's finish off deleting a student as well. So Bob had his birthday yesterday, he had a fantastic party, and sadly, today is his last day of school. So we now have to get him out of the students list. How do we do that? Well, it's quite simple. If you remember back in a lecture or two ago, we were talking about the delete statement. We worked with it in arrays. Well, it's pretty much the same concept over here. What we do is we say del, and then we delete the dictionary name. In this case, it's students. And what part of students do we want to remove? We want to remove the Bob part. So the key and value of the key Bob and its value will now be deleted from the students dictionary. So now if you print out students, Eric 14, Tina 26. So you're probably wondering, well, is this case sensitive? So go ahead and try it out. What I want you to do is just type in students and then type in Eric lowercase. Does it work? No, it doesn't. So over here, this is a fantastic error. Let's quickly go over it. All it's saying is key error Eric. All it's asking you is, dude, there's no key that exists called Eric. And the reason is our key is capitalized E. So good thing to note here is that it is case sensitive. So keys in dictionaries of Python are case sensitive. You want to put the exact key that you created up top. So if you go down here and you add Eric, then press enter, you get 14. So fantastic. I mean, we've learned about dictionaries. We've learned how they work, how to delete, how to update. And in the next lecture, let's just quickly go over a few properties and functions of dictionaries that we can use. All right.